It's something many of us don't want to be dealing with at this time of the night. Our cars buried under a mountain of snow. But for those of you still with your shovels in your hand, don't worry. You're not alone. I'm here at Francesco's on Rockford's east side. People are already starting to gather and raise their glasses. Think about how often you text. Now, think about how often you drive. An inferno is right. As you can see right behind me, a little bit north of Sandy Hollow and Mulford Roads, a train car derails and bursts into flames. After more than 10 hours outside an apartment investigators believe Jackson was staying at, they found out he either wasn't there or had escaped. Signs like the one sitting right behind me normally notify parents about PTA meetings or athletic events. But today they're sending clear message to Springfield, please pay up. From a distance, this looks like a quiet neighborhood off Bell School Road, but look closer and it's like something out of a nightmare.
What we have here is we got a problem with these bugs.
Millions of gypsy moth caterpillars feasting on the trees. And right now, residents say they'll try almost anything to stop them.
We put duct tape around the trees, it's a barrier, and then we wrap petroleum jelly on top of that. And that, because they're a crawler, they can't get past that to get up to the tree to feed.
Some of the bugs were able to make it up the trees despite their efforts, leaving the ground covered with chewed up leaves and what one resident calls bug manure. With all of their trees threatened, residents here on Larwin Drive say they aren't happy with the lack of response from local agencies.
We've contacted the Department of Agriculture and basically they told us they're out of money for their budget and we're on our own.
Residents say they've invested hundreds of dollars in duct tape, dish soap, and petroleum jelly to fight off the invaders.
Most of these people here are retired people here in this neighborhood. We spent $500 and $600, but the county can't spend any kind of time or money to come out and help us with these bugs.
Neighbors say they're keeping the tape up for the next 2 weeks until the caterpillars go into the cocoon stage. Each one that makes it through the transition could produce up to 1,000 eggs. In Rockford, Chris Norman, 23 News, right now. Mike and Tina, it's something most of us have been pretty familiar with over the last 24 hours, a shovel. But as some have found out, there may be easier ways to help dig out from under more than a foot of snow. In this neighborhood on Rockford's west side, it's kind of like the battle of John Henry versus the steam shovel. But here, it's more like Rex Jeffers Jr. versus the power shovel.
All I have is a shovel. That's all I have is a shovel.
Jeffers has been up since 1 a.m. digging out. Around noon, he finally made it to the end of his driveway. Across the street, his neighbor, Roy Williams, is also clearing out his driveway, but it's only taken him about a half hour.
The snow's as high as the snowblower, but it's able to work through it.
Both still have some work to do, but they also have something to celebrate. The blizzard of 11 is over. I've seen driving around today a lot of neighbors and families coming together to help each other dig out from after this massive storm. In Rockford, Chris Norman, 23 News, back to you in the studio.
The investigation is proceeding as a homicide investigation.
DeKalb Police Chief Bill Fythen says right now the investigation centers on human remains found on October 16th. They have not been identified as 18-year-old Antoinette Kellers, but they were found near items belonging to her. The problem is the remains were so badly burned, an autopsy is not possible.
Our focus has been in the Prairie Park area. There's nothing to indicate at this point that it extends beyond that.
Police continue to patrol the park, and they're asking the public to stay away for the time being. Information in the case has been slow to come by, and the DeKalb County State's Attorney addressed that as well. He says some things needed to be withheld to protect their case against whoever is charged with the murder.
They must be one step ahead of the game to determine whether that information is reliable or something that is already in the public domain.
Forensics teams are now working to identify the remains while the community waits for final word on if they belong to Tony.
Like the Keller family, the DeKalb community, and the entire NIU community, we want justice to prevail.